All right, so today what I'd like to discuss is how can we make like a game, like different game screens. And this will fit in with my inventory system, but also for starters, let's create like a title screen for our game. All right, and so I'm going to take a project, any project, and one of the things that I like to do is I like to make copies. It can get a little bit confusing if you don't name your copies, like what they are. Um, but I sometimes find it helpful to keep track of what I'm doing and different things just by making new copies. So you just keep track, rename things. So I'm just going to call this game screen. Lesson one. You can always change names later, but it's better to name things while you go. So I'm going to share this project or whatever. And here's, so it's same, just a copy of that last project. All right. And where I'm going to start is I'm going to go to, I'm going to create a variable. Okay. And I'm going to call this variable, it's going to be a global variable, meaning it's for all sprites. And I'm just going to call this variable screen. Okay. All right. Oh, it says I've already created that variable. So here's this variable here called screen. All right. Interesting. Okay. So I'm also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new sprite. All right. And I'm just going to click on paint here, and it's going to just be a blank sprite for right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this in with a color. All right. So just give it a color, like pick a color that you want it to be. This is going to be my like opening game screen, and I'm just going to type in some stuff, and maybe later we can change it, make it a little better. But a lot of times I just like to show you how you just if you want something, just create it, right? So I want a game screen that I start my game with, and so I'm going to use this fill. I'm going to go to bitmap. I'm going to fill in this color like that. All right. So I've just got this new sprite I've created. I'm going to call this intro screen. This is going to be my intro, like when I start the game. And I'm going to put my screen code on this. So operators, I'm sorry, events. So when I start the game, I'm going to take this variable that I just created called screen, and I'm going to set it to 0. So set, not armor, but set screen. So I'll find it here in this list. Here it is down here. Set screen to 0. Okay. And now I'm going to go into control and grab a forever loop. And I'm going to say if, and I'll do if then else. All right, so I'm going to wait a second, let you catch up. So you've created a new sprite. I just made it a solid color. All right. All right. And another thing I want to do is you can see that it's not centered, like it's not covering up my whole screen. And so I want to move it. So right at the very beginning, I'm going to move the sprite to the coordinates 0, 0. So now when I reset the game, it'll just cover everything up. Okay. All right, I'm going to go over to these variables, and I'm just going to hide these because I don't need any of these to be shown. So I'm just going to hide all my variables. Okay. And so now in this if then else statement, I'm going to say operators. So if my variable called screen, so I'll find that variable here and I'll grab it. And so if my screen variable is 0 and looks I'm going to say show. And if it's not 0, so that's what this else statement is, I'm going to hide it. All right. And so right now I can't even see my game. This, if I reset, yeah, this is like on top of everything. And I might even want to have this go to the front layer, so it's like on top of everything, like it is. It already is, but by doing that later, it'll be on front, up front. Okay. All right. So we could add some stuff to this title, but right now I just want to get this system working so that when we start the game, we have this title screen, and then we push a button, and then it moves into the game. Okay, and there's a lot of different ways you can do this. You could have like a button you push. You could just basically have it if any key is pressed. Lots of things. So, so what I'm going to do is just set this up so that if we basically click on this sprite, which is the whole screen, it'll start the game. Okay, so I'm going to go into when. Let's see here. We're going to look at sensing. And I'm just looking at some different things here. Okay, so let's try this. So inside the forever loop, I'm going to bring in this new if statement. So control, I'm going to bring in a new if, just an if statement. So if we're touching the mouse pointer, and then if, going back to sensing, if mouse is down, then I'm going to take this variable and I'm going to say change screen no, I'm going to say set screen to 1. All right. So I'm going to reset the game, and hopefully this works. Yeah, there it goes. So I'll reset the game. I have my game screen. If I click on the game screen, boom, my game starts. All right. So now I could do this. So, and to make this look a little better, and graphics and things like that, they take time. Like, you know, when I show it to you and I just like try to make it look really nice, it would take like a long time. So a lot of times when I show you things, I'm just showing you like the most simple way to do it and to get it to work. So now I'm going to go in here and add some text. So I'm going to call this, and I need a different color. you're not going to see that. So just real basic here. I'm going to say Mr. Held's Ultima was a game I used to play when I was younger. Ultimish RPG. Just like that. Click the mouse to, or just say click to start. I'm just going to, like, right? So here we go. So now I have this, when I start my game, click on the green flag. I have this screen that shows up. If I click on the screen, it starts the game. And here we are into the game. And really, what you don't see happening is all the things that are coded to happen are actually happening underneath the game screen. You just don't see it happening yet. So like if you want, like when I start my game, like when I start it, because I did it really quickly, you can see that enemy is coming at me. So really your first screen, you might not want your enemy on there or anything really much on your first screen. So that like if I wait a while, like the game will start differently. Like I restarted the game. Right now that enemy NPC is like walking up to my player character. He's probably on top of it now. So you'll see, like, see, he's already attacking me. And if I had damage and hit points and stuff, I'd be dead already. And so that's part of the coding. Like you probably don't want an enemy on the first screen if you set it up this way, because you could die before you even start the game. So really all that game screen is it's not pausing anything. It's just on top of everything so that when you start the game, here we are, we have this game title screen, okay? And we can click here and there we go, all right? So now if we wanted to have an inventory system, which I've shown in other systems, we could use the same kind of system. Like I could create a new sprite and do the same thing and make that my start to my inventory. All right. And let me show you how that would go too. So I'm going to create another sprite. I'm going to just use paint, just create a blank one. And I'm just going to pick another solid color. I'm going to convert to bitmap. And in the video that I created this, I kind of made it gray. So I'm just going to look for that. I don't know, that'll work. It's not really gray, but it's different than, so, okay. And I'm going to call this one my inventory. I don't know why I did all caps, but whatever. And just like I did before, let's go ahead and write in text right at the top, just so we can keep track of what we're doing. We can always change the graphics later, but just so we know what we have here. So inventory. Just kind of move that, center it, all right? And then once again, you can see like it's not centered. So I'm going to go into code, and some of these things you do all the time. Like every time you make a new sprite, you probably want to center it, okay? So I'm going to say go to 0, 0. All right. Reset the game. So now you see this inventory is covering everything up again. So we're going to want to do another forever loop. And it's going to be similar to what we have on the game screen. An if then else. And we're going to say, basically, I'll set my inventory to screen equals 2. So I'll show you. So if screen equals 2, so I'm going to go to variables and say if screen equals 2, looks, we're going to show. And otherwise, we're going to hide. All right. And so now I don't have the inventory on top of anything. Now I have no way to get to my inventory yet. I haven't programmed that yet. So that inventory screen, now there's no inventory slots, and it's complicated to make an inventory. But just to get started on making it so that we can get to the inventory, just showing you some basics on how to do that. All right, so in my, you're gonna pick, like, I use the letter I. So if I press I open my inventory, and then when I press it again, I close it. So I'm going to say, if, or there's another one we can use. Let me use a different kind of control, an event, just kind of show you that you can use this too. So when so I'm going to find whatever letter I want it to be, and this would work if you wanted something else, like in my crafting system, it's the same system. You just press C instead of I, and it opens up the crafting. So when I is pressed, and it depends on what's happening right now. It depends if my screen is already equal to 2, I will want it to set my variable back to 1. So I'm going to say, so if I press the I key, and if screen's already 2, that means you're looking at my inventory. So I want to set screen to 1. Okay? And else, if it's not equal to 2, then I want to set screen to 2. And that should solve it. I do want to also, and this is just because you want to wait a little bit. So we're going to wait a little bit, because if we don't wait a little bit, like, it'll toggle between really fast, and because computers can think pretty fast. So I'm just going to wait a quarter second between each one of these. All right. So now what you'll see is if I press I open up my inventory. If I press I again, it closes my inventory. So there we go. That's a really simple start to having different types of screens in your game. Like, for instance, when I reset the game, I have an opening screen. I can click on it. It starts the game. And then if I'm in the game, I can press I, and it'll come up. Now, one problem is if I press I right now, it'll show my inventory before I even start the game. So I don't really like that. But, we could stop that from happening. So, like, for instance, so basically we would basically want a if screen equals 0, nothing happens. Let me think. So let's do this. So let me try this. So I'm going to say if there we go. So now when I press I, nothing happens at the start of the game. And because I've said if, this only will happen, this switching on, as long as screen is not equal to 0. And the only time that the screen variable will be 0, the way I've coded it and shown you just in this last 20 minutes, if screen is only 0 at the start of the game, the moment that I press the screen, it becomes 1. And so sometimes, let me show you, one of the things I've been asking you to do is hide your variables, because if you have all your variables turned on, then you really can't even see your game. And so a lot of you, sometimes you'll be presenting a screencast to me, and like, you have all these variables showing. So it'd be more helpful if you turn them off unless you are actually working on it. So like right now we're working on the screen variable. And so it makes sense to turn that on just so that you can see what's happening. So like right now when I reset the game, my screen variable is 0. When I click on the screen, as you can see, the screen variable becomes 1. And if I go and I press I, it becomes 2. And when I press I again, it becomes 1. And now all it can do is go toggle back and forth between 1 and 2. So there it is. What do you guys think?